Well, bullying comes in many forms. It can happen at any stage of life.
Yeah, a survey found 20% of students between the ages of 12 and 18 say that they have been bullied. Now, more than half say it changed how the other students perceive them.
Yeah, some of those lunchroom bullies grew up to be office bullies. 31% of Americans say they have been bullied in the workplace, and that can have a major impact on someone's self-esteem. It's something that caused our next guest to reject her cultural heritage.
Yeah, Ritu Bhasin is a belonging and leadership expert and the author of We've Got This. She joins us now to talk about making it past the traumatic experience. Welcome back to the show.
So nice to see you both again.
Okay, so you experienced bullying as a child that a lot of people probably experience. Can you talk a little bit about your story?
So I am a child of Indian immigrant parents. My parents immigrated to Canada, which is actually where I live. I live in Toronto, but I love New York. And I had a front row seat to watching them struggle, but then I had my own struggles as well because I am a survivor of bullying that happened because I was one of a few kids of color in my grade, and I was reminded at every turn that I looked different, that my parents were different and weird and strange. And I should also remember, I'm a member of the Sikh community. My faith is called Sikhism. I am a Sikh. My father was a turban and a beard. So we stuck out visibly. And of course, when we stick out, oftentimes we're the target for being bullied.
Oh, look at that picture.
Well, you know, that really stuck with you for years. So let's talk about the impact it had on your adult life.
So I didn't know this. To be honest, Tamsin, I didn't know at a young age that I was basically, trauma was forming in my body that I would carry into my adulthood. And by the time I hit my 20s, I realized I was not well, that I was filled with feelings of unworthiness. I had a low self-esteem. I constantly questioned my ability to be lovable and so much more. And it affected me both personally and professionally, which is why I ultimately decided I needed to get help from the trauma related to the bullying.
Let's talk about some of that help. You were able to find your sense of belonging and identity. How were you able to do that?
Step one, first and foremost, was getting help from experts. I can't even tell you how much therapy work I have now done. I'm in my late 40s, almost 30 years of therapy. I started at the age of 20. And, you know, trauma lives not just in our minds, it lives in our bodies. And this is why it's really helpful to work with people who can guide us to release the pain from our mind and our bodies. And that was really important as part of my healing journey.
How do you commit to being your authentic self?
So for me, there's a few things that we can do. First of all, when I'm going into a situation where I think to myself, I want to share more of who I am, but I worry that my childhood bullying might get in the way, I literally plan out in advance of what I'm going to say. I call it scripting. What am I going to say about who I really am so that in the moment when I'm nervous and I'm flustered, I can stand in my power and use my voice. And then I use self-coaching a lot, because what happens in these situations is oftentimes it's like, okay, I'm going to tell people about my childhood experiences with bullying, or I'm going to talk about how I'm struggling with my mental health, or I want to talk about growing up in an immigrant household and not feel shame. But then I know what I want to say because I've planned it out. But then on one end of there's the devil on my shoulder that says, no, don't speak. And so this is why self-coaching and saying to ourselves things like, Ritu Bhasin, you've got this, stand in your power, can be really, really helpful.
Absolutely.
All right, Ritu, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story.
As always, thank you so much for having me.
All right, and to learn more, you can go to her website or follow her on Instagram. The information is right there on your screen.